Welcome to the Errata Sonata. This is Ian.
I'm Noah, and we have a special guest today.
I'm back. It's Eric.
It's Eric.
He's back a second time.
What
And
a
Eric,
shock. You
can
never
you believe
expected
it?
this.
It's almost like it's been all of 30 seconds since we stopped recording our
No.
last episode.
No, I definitely went away for a week or something.
I'm going to come in straight away with a hot take.
Strong, hot take. Castlevania 64.
I don't think intentional draws should be illegal.
You don't think what?
Intentional draws should be illegal.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
I see what he's saying.
Choosing to draw. You sit down across from your opponent. Maybe you both have one loss. And if you tie, you're in a better position than if one of you loses.
I mean, okay, actually, I'm actually 100% in agreement. Banning it is dumb because all you've done is you've just said, go do it in the back alley. Like, go talk to your opponent, don't tell a judge, and just intentionally draw on your own. I think that draws should not be in the game. I think that we should force results, but if draws are going to exist, you should be allowed to choose them for sure.
Ian just wants to force results because they're skewed towards SecCon.
Yes.
Oh my, yeah.
No, but I think I would prefer to just be able to sit down and be like, you know what? We're going to draw this. We're not going to play it out. We're going to take the tie.
Yeah, because I mean, again, let's be honest. Every person who plays the card game at some point has probably done a little bit of collusion at some level.
Even beyond that, let's say you've got 2 minutes left in overtime. You just finished game 2. Are you going to start playing game 3? No, you're taking that intentional draw because you know that 2 minutes, a minute of that, let's say, gets eaten up by shuffling. You set up, you've got a minute to play out the game. That's not happening. So you're taking that intentional draw. So what we're really saying is no intentional draws unless it's like reasonable.
Well, no, here's what it comes down to. There should not be a dynamic where something that many people are doing is illegal. Okay, let's be honest. Jaywalking should probably just be legalized because the idea of a cop stops me for jaywalking, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, you punch the cop in the face and you run.
I'll call the Digi police.
Yeah. No, I find that I agree with that for the most part. Like there are things that I don't know. I don't know if I agree with if a lot of people are doing it, it should be legal.
If it's encouraged, if it's being reinforced that it's okay to do by the system, which is to say we're not hunting down potential drawers. I'm not going to call a judge and be like, ban this guy's ass.
He's a serial drawer.
He asked me to draw. Like,
yeah, just call a judge. I would be like, I think this man needs to be DQ'd. He asked me to draw, so I think I should just get the win here.
That's crazy. No, yeah, I guess like the other thing with like the jaywalking, like being illegal, like analogy is like it's not like you're gonna get arrested for it, but like you should probably like not do it. But
you shouldn't do it. Yeah,
but if you do it, like we're not gonna like cuff you for it.
It's just that like any rule system that is like, okay, so like let's take in the real world, bureaucracy is the answer for how we end up in those situations.
Yeah.
But if you can be outside of that for a second, if we're talking about smaller communities that can have a little bit more control over themselves, keeping systems like that in place only exists to pick and choose to say, actually, we have problems with this guy that are not related to the tournament rules that we are now going to choose to judge him more harshly with the rules that like on paper have been there forever, but we've not actually enforced. I think it leads to a lot of like bad relationship with the judges. It leads to a lot of biased calls being made.
Like you're essentially you're saying like this like intentional drawer 007 like has existed for 4 years already, but now all of a sudden we're like, yeah, actually that's a problem. Don't do that. You're gonna get DQ'd, even though like it's never really like, at least in my knowledge, like I don't see how that would ever really cause an issue.
No,
like,
because the reality of an intentional draw is all parties agree.
Yeah,
it's
and you
two
can't win the
consenting
tournament
adults
that way.
sitting across from each other.
Here is how it becomes a problem.
Everyone has let's draw. The whole tournament ends in a tie.
Well,
we all get serialized zombies.
The more people that draw, the less likely that you are going to make it up that high if you were doing worse to begin with.
Right.
Yes.
So it gives the people that are doing better an advantage. Which is that wrong? Should we punish people that are doing better? Is this Mario Kart?
We are back. We are back to the classic. 2 weeks ago, I had an opinion, which I stand so firmly by, which is that prizing structures need to be changed. And like I think that's kind of where we're getting into. It's like the only reason why that matters
is this that
is
same pricing argument we had like 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's just the fact that fucking Swiss is a bad system. Swiss
Okay,
is a
yeah,
bad
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
system to go to top 8. And why the fuck are we doing it?
And breakers.
And breakers. I
yeah.
mean, like, it's crazy. I can't
definitely
believe
agree.
how long Swiss is an old system. Swiss has existed for a long time. It's used in a lot of sports games, but like for
Not
some
even.
reason, we
I don't
just
think it's
it's
used
like-
in sports,
it's
but
like chess.
isn't it used in tennis?
Oh yeah, maybe
Is it used in tennis?
it might
I thought
be.
so. I thought there's a lot of Swiss tournaments for tennis.
Admittedly, not a tennis watcher. I don't.
I might be
know.
lying to you because as I'm saying that, they have courts, and courts like are like they create a limit on like how many matches can happen. So like it would make
pretty
sense for
sure
them to
that
have.
they're not Swiss because like I'm pretty sure that like the men's open is
Yeah.
like,
Okay. So,
a
so
single
let's just say
elim.
chess. Yeah. Because you
Yeah.
fundamentally you want Swiss to function for any game system that has infinite number of setups.
Yeah.
That's the system that Swiss works best for.
Yes. Yeah. That makes sense.
So chess, so card games where there isn't it's a space requirement. It is not a console requirement.
Smash should adopt Swiss.
Oh my! Get out of here.
If Smash could adopt Swiss, we would.
Really?
Actually, probably we wouldn't because
No.
there's just so much resistance to change.
I thought, like, couldn't Smash adopt Swiss? That you have a lot of setups.
So we do. So we do. We don't
That would
have.
be such a nightmare.
You need half the number of setups as you have players, which is like that's a lot of setups.
I thought you alady had that many setups.
No, dude,
No.
a 200 person tournament, you don't have 100 setups.
You don't?
No,
You
yeah, like
for
30.
30
I-
would 30
okay.
would be a lot to be honest.
I just
Yeah.
thought like the setups were abundant.
I was being generous.
How many setups were we getting at like Frozen Phoenix?
Well, you remember we'd have like we'd try to get like 24-ish a game, but then like you'd have
Really?
you'd have like
I thought
technical
if-
difficulties, and you'd have multiple brackets running too. Like
That's why.
Either-
That's why you remember. So you do waves. So you should do pools first of all, and pools are generally by design meant to like cut the attendance in half at least.
Yeah.
So you're actually only ending up with like 64 players in the bracket at the end, and so 64 players in the bracket, any number of setups greater than 32 is just for friendlies.
I mean, which isn't a problem for attendees.
Yeah,
but
it's not.
a
You're not
problem
doing
for-
something wrong.
It's a problem for like the organizer when you're like, I'm effectively not using half of the things that I'm going to be set after halfway through my day, and it's
Yeah.
kind of like
And power draw is a big thing. Like,
Yeah.
like in general, the consoles are easy on power, but the TVs are not. So it
I've
ends up being a
literally
headache.
never considered that.
Oh, the power.
Do you check like what their
Yeah, we have to. So I had a close
Yes.
relationship with McMaster's tech department, and like we had to like get like additional power draw into like the areas that we were hosting tournaments.
So what were their boxes rated for?
Um,
oh yeah, this
I
is
don't-
where
I-
your,
yeah,
your knowledge of
yeah,
electricity
I
stuff.
don't know is the
Okay.
answer. I would pretty much like go through all of the steps of like where we wanted things, where setups are. They tell me like restrictions, like, hey, this looks like too many TVs in this area, so can we reorganize
Yeah, like
it?
I remember doing that for like when we hosted some smaller tournaments in like one of the lecture buildings, right? Like in BSB.
Yeah.
And I remember like going through the room we'd be hosting like the monthly in or whatever. And it'd be like, okay, we want to like this many TVs here, and it'd be like, oh well, that's on like this breaker with like
Yep.
these other classrooms, so like you probably can't have more than like 4 TVs over here, even though you want 6 of them.
Yep.
Yeah, like we would do it would be like stuff like that.
I hope this doesn't make you nervous for the rest of the podcast. I don't think I realize how much you say like in your regular speech.
I have noticed it actually.
Has it been
like,
growing?
Yes, and it bothers me, but I don't know what to do.
I feel as if mine has been growing.
It's turned into like a major filler
Like
word
filler
in my
words,
speech,
yeah.
and it bothers me, but I don't know how to fix it.
I mean, I have filler words too, so I can't like give you too much shit.
Yeah.
But
I also I know I'll say instead, and I dislike more than I dislike saying like.
Ian has 2 big ones. He says a lot, and he
Um.
says Wizardmon's cock a lot.
Wizardmon cock is a pretty big one.
Yeah, well,
That's a callback to OG.
Yeah, I was
episode
gonna
right
say,
there.
wow.
we picked up saying like a bunch more.
No, it's okay. I mean, I have to make a conscious effort. I mean, like I have a deeper voice in it, so it's not too much of an issue. But I have like a lot of vocal fry in my voice, and anytime I like go quiet, I tend to like get the
I mean, we
sound,
also kinda,
I
like,
talk like this a little bit.
Did
So
talk ourselves a bit hoarse last night too.
yeah, we
But
were
it's not-
we were going. We had some shouting matches. We were at a party last night. To be honest, I'm a little hungover and I don't feel 100%.
I'm good. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm
our
good.
designated driver
Yeah,
Eric kept
no,
us solid.
No problemo.
We had a 3 a.m. drive back home from fucking Tilsonburg.
Yeah, we left
That's
at
rough.
1, and it was pouring rain, and most of that drive is in the pure like it just darkness.
Pure darkness,
And
yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's raining, you got no moonlight either. So
You're getting some lightning, I'm sure.
not
Lightning wasn't
maybe.
bad, but fog was bad.
Fog was
getting rolling in.
I drove pretty slow.
Not worse than our drive to Gen Con, though.
No, definitely not worse than that. No ditches.
I've never seen so much rain.
That was apocalyptic. That was Apocalypse. Like,
yeah, we were getting prepared for a tornado.
well, no, we saw the tornado. It was just behind us, and we said, "Can we outrun it?"
Oh my gosh!
Remember Jeremiah called to say goodbye to Maddie.
And there were so many cars on the side of the road.
He called Maddie, and he's like, I'm worried we won't make it. So I love you and goodbye. And she said, get out of the car and climb in a ditch because it's safer from lightning.
She told us not to climb a tree. She said, a tornado's coming. Do not climb a tree. No, it was such a weird scenario because we saw the tornado behind us, but like we weren't worried about the tornado.
No.
But we saw the
tornado. We were worried about
tornado.
missing the tournament.
Yeah, but we saw the tornado. So we were a little bit nervous, but we also did not want to stop because the tornado was there. But there was so much rain that a lot of cars were stopping.
I've never actually been in rain like that before. It was a wall of water.
A sheet of
water. I genuinely cannot overstate it. It felt like somebody had a bucket and they were pouring it out.
No, we were basically driving underwater. As soon as your wipers went to one side of the
we
window,
never saw any clear stretch. It was always wet.
Yeah.
It was insane.
You're at the water park with the big.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. I genuinely don't know how to express it and make it sound believable. Because
most cars were pulling over to stop driving.
You just built different.
Yeah, we built different. Which is so funny because Ian did not want to drive. He did not want to be the one.
Yeah, that's right. I was
supposed to drive, and Ian's like, I got this. He's like, I'll drive for the first hour, and then 7 hours later, he was still driving.
Well, no, it's because I said because the car's under my name, I should get us over the border.
Yeah,
and then I'll swap car seats with you. And then I powered through.
We did have a little bit of a break where you just had to hold the brake the whole time.
Yes.
And the truckers beside us were just napping. Like, they were getting up out of their
seats. And they're going into the fucking back of their trucks in Ohio. When we were going to, by the way, Eric told us that he was in Ohio as we were passing by. I said, what are you doing? He's like, well, I actually have the next week off work. It's like, well, then come to Gen Con. Like, we'll go pick you up.
Maybe next year. Can we go to Gen Con?
We can go to Gen Con this year.
What?
I can't.
Yeah.
Why not? Don't get married.
It's just really close to everything. And
yeah, that's fair. Why don't we go to Great Wolf Lodge?
Oh my, get out of here.
But I would love to go to Gen Con next year because it was a great experience.
Yeah, of course. I was telling the local guys at Digimon that I probably would go to another big event if there's like any number of people going that I like. I just want to go hang out.
I definitely still haven't been to a big event like for anything that I've done.
Yeah, because you never came to
Smash.
Evo. You never came to
I would have wanted to, but it was always money related.
We're going to Detroit in the next month.
Do you not consider Frozen Phoenix a big event?
Yeah. Also,
we
hosted
it. Like it's like.
Yeah. Okay, well, we went to Mixed Match.
I think he means a non-Ontario event. He hasn't traveled outside the province.
Out of state, as the Americans would call it.
Because the majority of players that you would face were people you already knew.
It's so weird. I was talking with some friends last week, and they just got back from California. It's like, I was in LA in January. And last year in February. I've been to LA twice now.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to go again next year.
I still haven't been like west of Chicago, I think, is my farthest point.
Wow,
west.
that's not very west.
No, it's not. I haven't been to any province west of Ontario. And then in the US, I pretty much stay along like the East Coast because I've been to pretty much every state between here and Florida.
Yeah.
And then with like Noah and his family, I did a little more west, like Kentucky, whatever, Tennessee. Well, Tennessee I had done before.
Okay.
But yeah, the Tennessee and then Chicago I've done like 2 times.
I mean, to be fair, I've mostly like skipped over the US. Like I've been to like the edges because I like flew there for different events at different times, but I've not like explored the majority of the US. And if I'm perfectly frank, nor do I have that much interest in doing it.
I mean, the East Coast, there's like a few big ones you should hit probably one time at least, like New York City.
Yeah.
And then I think going to Boston is pretty cool. And then Washington, D.C. is fun if you are into the Smithsonian stuff.
Yeah.
I want to hear your opinion on this.
Oh, yeah.
You go to New York City.
Okay.
Do you go to Times Square?
I mean, it's very easy to end up there, so I would say you probably will anyway. So yes.
I wouldn't go there as a destination.
I don't think it's like, I don't think it's a thing you do. Like you can't do a day to like Times Square.
No.
Right?
But like, do you go and see it? Because my friends that went to California, they didn't do a lot of LA things because
But they
had
went
a
to see the
friend living
Hollywood
out there.
sign.
Pardon?
But they went to see the Hollywood sign. Right?
Well, they didn't. They went to
Okay.
the Griffith Observatory.
Oh, okay.
But
Whatever.
a lot of things that like you do if you're a tourist in LA, the person that lived there that they were going to visit said that's too touristy. We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But it's touristy for a reason.
I don't know. I'm personally I'm a touristy hater. I generally like there are small things that I'll be like, okay, well I'll check it out because it's like there, but almost always if somebody is directing me in a direction, I want to go the other way.
Yeah, which you've mentioned before, but like
I guess
you go to
but there's
Niagara
definitely
Falls,
things out. Yeah, like I
you
wanna
don't go and
them.
see the falls because it's too touristy.
No, yeah, you're right. I would do that. And like when I was in Japan, I went to see Shibuya Crossing because I was like, I happened to be there. I was like, oh yeah, let's go up and let's get a view of Shibuya Crossing and like everyone going through
Well,
it.
in like New York, I think I did everything there except Statue of Liberty, right? Like
Yes.
expensive, but
Oh, is it expensive? I have no context.
it's like an island or whatever, and you need to either take a
Oh
ferry
yeah, because that's
or
like the
a
whole.
heli-
Isn't that the whole
Yeah.
thing where like New York and New Jersey fight over who owns?
oh, maybe I don't know. Whatever.
that
France
piece of
built
land
the
or something.
statue. Who
I don't
cares?
know. I don't know this shit.
It's a French statue. It's fine.
Well, when I went to LA for Nats the first time, I took the week off of work and we did like traveling and touristy stuff, and we went right up to the Hollywood sign, and then we walked to the Griffith Observatory. It's like 3 or
Good walk.
4 plus hour walk.
Yeah.
It's a good walk.
It is a long walk. And so my friends who went to the Griffith Observatory, I asked them if they saw the Hollywood sign. And they're like, oh, we just saw it from the observatory. Like, oh, yeah, I went right up to it and then walked to the observatory. But it was so fun. I don't know if that's considered touristy, but I love hikes.
No, I think
and
that-
this is all through the mountains.
I think the hike is different. I mean, like I went on hikes while I was in
Exactly.
Vancouver, and like I think what I'm just trying to describe is like, so when I went to Japan in October, I woke up in the middle of the night one night at like 2 a.m. We were still jet lagged when we first arrived, and it was one of my best experiences. Just being like, it's 2 a.m. I can't sleep. Everybody else in the house is asleep. We're in a small town near Mount Fuji. I'm just going to go walking, and I just walked through like a dead quiet small town in Japan and got a sense of what it was like there. And I went into some small stores that were open 24 hours. I bought a few things, like I ate somewhere, and then I ended up staying up, and it ended up being one of my best days because I went, oh, it's 5 a.m. and my older brother woke up. Hey, why don't we just go start now what will end up being a 6-hour hike of like just going around Mount Fuji and seeing it from different angles as the sun rises.
Yeah, I remember you called me while you were doing that.
Oh yeah, I forgot I did. Yeah, we had a voice call.
And if I went to Japan to go visit a friend, let's say, who lives in Japan, and they said, no, we're not going to go walk around Mount Fuji, that's too touristy, I'd be pissed.
Okay.
Yeah.
That like there were several reasons why I know you'd be pissed about that. Because one, it's a hike,
Yeah.
and two, it's like
It's Mount
why would I,
Fuji.
you
It's
know what,
gorgeous.
Mount Fuji? Like I want to see it.
I can hone in on what I'm saying, and I think it's our connection point. I agree with seeing Mount Fuji. There are probably a few stereotypical places to take the picture of Mount Fuji from.
Like the train.
And I would not really care to go to that stereotypical spot just because, like, I think that there's so many cool things to experience, and like waiting in line to get a picture from a certain angle, I don't care about.
But what I think
see, I can agree with that. Yeah.
I feel like that also has a lot to do with you just not caring as much about the photograph. You know what I mean? Like, do you really feel like you go to places to get photos?
I don't. Yeah.
No,
Because
not
I'm
really.
more about the experience.
I definitely am more experienced, yeah.
And so if I don't get a
To a
photo in a
fault, yeah.
specific spot, I don't care. I care more about having been up to the Hollywood sign in the Griffith Observatory than having gotten any photos of them.
Yeah.
I went to the Walk of Fame just because, you know, like it's a
Walk of
thing.
Fame.
You go there. It's dirty. It's grimy. I hated it there, but I went there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I think I got some photos beside specific stars, but I don't care about those photos.
Well, I'll say that like mine is definitely a normal opinion. I know that like every study of tourists is like, what do tourists hate more than anything is tourists. Like everybody wants to be like the only
you want to
person
be
in that experience.
blending into.
you want to feel like you're getting an authentic
You're a local.
experience. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's
Yeah.
sort of why, like we talked about again, right when I got back, my strategy was always like clock how many white people are in a venue. If the answer is more than 0,
Leave.
then yeah, I wanted to be like the only gaijin in a location. And I very much was like focused on like any sign that said no white, I was going right there.
Getting shot on sight.
Yeah, with one of the Shinzo Abe freaking contraptions.
I still can't believe how the sheer number of signs that were very explicitly like no whites, no blacks, no Filipinos in Japan.
I should be surprised, but I'm not.
I'm gonna have that sign on my front door.
Yeah, you're gonna put that
Oh,
up.
jeez. I can't come over then.
What Angela was mentioning a no solicitor sign.
Oh yeah.
How about you just put up a sign that says no whites?
Well, I mean that one might go over okay, depending on like where you live. So
Yeah. All right. I can't believe we got here from hot take. Intentional draw should be legal.
Oh, yeah.
We started on Digimon. It was a rare opportunity that Noah said we're actually going to commit. I've alluded to it, but it's something I've been wanting to talk about because I'm trying to take Digimon seriously again. I've been trying to play more serious decks, and with that, I've been playing Numemon. And let's be honest, it's a black and yellow deck. It's a purple deck. It's a purple deck.
no, it's a black deck.
It's a black purple deck.
All right, I can live with that.
Because I honestly feel that black and purple cross paths so often.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's been like that since the beginning of the game.
We're the
Yeah,
virus colors.
And then there's so much like trash interaction too.
Yeah, I mean, black has been getting more trash interaction over time.
Which is making it better.
It's been normalizing. I think the game has just been getting more trash
Well,
interaction.
even like BT4, you had Commandramon. And then EX1, we had Machine Dramon.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Alphamon doing a lot of trash.
yeah, you're
Adamon.
right. I can't deny
Even
that. Like
Adamon
black
stuff
has
was
had
Adamon.
black has been associated with the trash for quite a while.
Even like I mean, it wasn't a black deck, but like Beelzemon, like a lot of the black stuff in that was like
One black stuff?
they're not
There's always purple.
Gundramon or whatever his name.
Oh, you're talking about 3M.
Yeah,
Three
sorry.
Musketeers. Yeah.
Which
So
are
that was
coming
purple-black.
back. We're getting a Beelstar Ace soon.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that is correct. Like, it
Beelstar,
was,
yeah.
Gundramon didn't actually interact with the trash. It revealed cards and stuff
And then trash to them.
and then trashed them to support Bellstar.
Yeah. I know it's not a black deck. Like it's not really.
Yeah, no, but I know what you mean now. I was just confused when you said Beelzemon. But
It's
yeah.
because it was the wrong Digimon. Yeah,
And we also had Zwart Defeat going off of purple black.
Yeah,
Bringing
yeah.
cards out from the
That was
draw.
the classic. So many level 7s went off of purple black.
I said Defeat, but I meant Zwart.
Zwart and Millennium and like
Yep.
several others. Like
There were a lot of white level 7s that went off purple black
yes.
because it felt like
I mean, it was red. It was red, blue. It was purple, black, and then green and yellow fucked off. Like
we actually didn't have that much
Good.
red blue. I don't think we had Omnimons. Were the only really red blue ones.
yeah, red.
Well,
blue,
that's because they just kept printing
Omnis.
Omnimon.
Yeah, we just had a lot of Omnimons, but we had like
There was a battle for Omni.
we were seeing like green, yellow for level 7s. It was just like Chaos Mons, like
Yeah.
Balder Arms, and
Oh, it was sick.
Volder Arm was a very cool Digimon. I actually liked him a lot.
me too. I mean, I felt like Lord Nightmon was really fun. Now, what Lord Nightmon does isn't that interesting because so many decks do it.
Yeah, 100%.
So many decks swarm so much more efficiently. Although we did just get Lord Nightmon support with the Valkyrmon Ace,
Yes.
Yellow Warrior, and the new Lobomon Beowulf line.
Wait, Valkyrmon Ace is a yellow warrior. So can Lord Knight just directly play him?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And we also just got yellow purple Rihimon line and yellow blue Lobomon line, like Beowulf.
Yes, which is essentially like they've been playing around with this idea for a while of like how do we get over the fact that the hybrid design space was digivolved to an ultimate for 1,
Yep.
and it seems like their answer has been warp to an ultimate for 3, which is the same
essentially the
thing, but just like with an extra step.
But both these cards are yellow and they are warriors. So it's more level 5s for Lord Knight to play out. Not that I think Lord Knight really wants to
would
play,
run Rihimon, yeah.
but and it really depends on what the cards do. But I don't know if Rihimon's a warrior or if just like Loimon
And Kaiser Leo, yeah.
but-
maybe.
I mean, it just the game has become more and more focused on multicolor decks, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean it's Battle Spirits again, brother.
And it's funny because people point at it almost feels like we did a 180. We used to think, oh, multicolor decks are so strong because you've got access to more like tools.
Yeah.
But now people are pointing at Mirage and saying it has so many benefits because it's just blue. Like you don't have to deal with other colors. I mean, I see the pros and cons, but I really think that generally speaking, as soon as you introduce another color, that because when you're playing within a tribe, you just basically ignore all the cons of having another color.
Yeah.
It's always just beneficial to have more colors.
Yeah, I think
Like Shine
I can see
Greymon.
that.
Do you think it's ever a bad thing to have like it be multicolor? All your cards are red and yellow.
Yeah, I don't think there's any cost to having it. I think what there is an issue is the prevalence and the power of Ukomon does make trainings worse.
Yes, and that's like you look at trainings in a deck like War Greymon, where they're running Cool Boys and they're running Black Ties, but the most of the cards in the deck are red. Red training suddenly can whiff.
Yeah.
A lot more often than, I mean, a blue training in Mirage will never whiff. I don't think I run any non-blue cards in the deck.
No Ukomons, and yeah, I don't think you have any.
And just gonna put it out there, I think that a lot of people are overvaluing Ukomon. Obviously, an insane card.
Good card, dude.
It's a very good card. But I think people saying it goes in every deck, that's just wrong.
It's not in every deck. It is a piece that is like universally potentially applicable, and you should decide if it's worth it for your package.
I think any OTK stack deck should not be running Ukomon. I think it's unoptimal. And I think that people will still top while running those Ukomons just because of the strength of the base OTK. But I think it's unoptimal.
Mm-hmm. I can get behind that.
People think that because BT16 Ukomon searches 3 cards and grabs you a piece, you can run it in Mirage or other decks. No, you don't want that.
No, because if you get it not on the first turn, you're also like, this is fucking annoying. Because
Yeah.
I already have it up to champion in the back, and I don't want to shunt him out just to put an Ukomon down.
Yep. Maybe it was on play as well.
Actually, if it was on play, it'd be kind of cooking.
On play and when it comes up from the breeding area. It'd be pretty nuts. But yeah, I think, again, Ukomon, I think supports a lot of the weaker decks and doesn't do the same for a lot of the stronger decks. It really, what Ukomon excels at is helping out decks that don't have a good rookie support base. Or that don't care about
Or don't care about digivolving out, because Myotismon uses it because they're like, we don't ever want to actually digivolve up.
And that's why Numemon uses it. And hybrid decks would love Ukomons. Basically anything that says, you know what, we're not going to digivolve in the back.
Yep.
And that's not a lot of decks, to be honest. At least not a lot of relevant decks. We've been looking at a lot of stack-based decks for a long time, or non-stack-based decks that could utilize Ukomon, but are so focused on their tribal mechanics that it doesn't make sense for them to use Ukomon.
Yeah, because their tribal mechanic is just too effective.
Yep. Such as Red Hybrid. Ukomon helps it a lot, but you're also now suffering. If you're not getting those level 3 rookies out of Racing and getting them into the trash, you're now struggling to fill up your trash for Emperor Greymon. Now, there obviously is a difference there because, you know, maybe you just win because the Ukomon's first. But that's just my example of sometimes you have to choose between Ukomon aggression or filling in that tribal slot. And it's the same thing, I think, with Terriermon. I think that Terriermon can be a really good aggro deck, but do you want to put Ukomons in it? I don't think so, because you want to be able to go into Rapidmons, always. And then warp up into a level 6. Man, that's another deck that I want to build, but I just Rapidmon X.
Rapidmon X, yeah, no. I mean, like, you're going to be spending $500 just to get that built.
I expect to see it more and more. Aces have kind of been getting stronger, which we all expected.
But Mega Gargo Ace,
Mega Gargo Ace.
Imagine if that guy had an on-play. I have nightmares about that.
Preventing your opponent from digivolving is such an powerful effect that blows away Venusmon.
Yeah, because like, Eric, I know you've been out of the game, but this guy, he's a massive blocker with reboot. On Digivolve, he suspends 2 things on your opponent's side of the field, and then he picks 2 things, and he said they cannot unsuspend or Digivolve.
They don't have to be suspended to pick it. They just can't Digivolve.
Better
Or
Shivamon.
unsuspend. Well, Shivamon doesn't let them play options.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I know
Forgot about
Tyrant.
that.
If you have a suspended Tyrant on board, which can't be affected by Digimon effects, so it's only options, and you have a suspended Shivamon, that Tyrant is basically Magmon X.
Yes, I've heard people saying that. Like I struggled against a Tyrant player on the last big event. I went to the Evo Cup. He's green. He's,
Okay,
he's,
so
he's a new
Shivamon is
insect
a
deck.
viable option. Okay,
Insects are back, brother.
let's go.
I mean, insects have had a pretty good and interesting history throughout the card game.
But
I mean, that's the last deck I played.
Insects are the best that they have ever been, by far.
Effectively.
for sure.
Like, it was green hybrids, but it was kind of like an insect deck too.
But you should also not struggle that much against Tyrant. Well, I guess if you can't develop your board.
Yeah, because I'm just like thinking we had starter deck green, we had EX1, we had
That was the last time we had a Tentomon.
no that's the one I know that, but
like, still,
no, we
got
just
one
got a
in
new
Pizza
one.
Yeah.
that's still.
We have
It's crazy.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, it's insane. Tentomon was getting fucking destroyed.
I don't like to count Grandis as an insect deck.
I do.
I
And
was gonna say, I think
I was
it
actually
is.
gonna say I count BT7 as an insect deck.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't count Green Hybrids.
You
as
could
insect.
Digivolve Rhino Capitarimon.
Yeah,
is
I
Digivolve
think
into
it's
any
a-
insect. Like,
You're right, but it never did.
I did.
Yeah.
What when you went into what Shiva?
Yeah.
That was like a one of in the deck. It was like
Yeah, but it was
sick.
sick.
You played 4 ancients and then like 1 or 2 Shiva.
I think I played more Shivas because
Ancients
Oh,
were just a rare though. I'm sure you
yeah.
had them.
And I'm confused.
Maybe,
Why
I
don't
don't
you count Grandis as an insect deck?
no, I do know why. It's like the same reason you don't really count it for like the hybrids. It's just like the main focus of the deck isn't really that it's an insect deck. It's like
Yeah, you're not
It-
really looking for Insectoid ever.
yeah.
I guess
It's built around the
It's the same-
synergy of those cards, but it's not the insect synergy that you're necessarily like that's more of like a secondary.
It doesn't
like,
call out the
bonus.
keyword insect. I guess,
Yeah.
but
It's
like
the same reason I don't consider BT9 a diverse format. Just because you have 8 different OTK decks in different colors doesn't mean they're not all functionally doing the same thing.
I guess how I think of it is that like green insects has been more or less up until Tyrant Cabatarimon has been the green beatdown color. And like I think that Tyrant Cabatarimon has provided the most control among the insect packages that are relevant.
I also just don't really think that Grandis does anything that we have come to know about insects. Like come to consider an insect deck like
Oh yeah, I can see what you're
right?
saying.
It's not digivolving on swing. I guess X antibody.
Yeah.
But you almost never do that. It's not doing like any of the insect
Yeah,
stuff.
insect was
Describing, like,
definitely
Jagamon
green
deck
blitz for a
stuff.
while. It was green blitz for a while.
Is there any Lotto Green stuff going around
Not
anymore?
anymore. GG
Yeah.
GG exists still, but like less than before.
I love those decks.
No,
Those are fun.
at Nats, Lotto Green was doing kind of well, and it's still just kind of around because Green has really good megas.
Yeah.
Mega Gargomon.
Yes, Mega Gargo. Because you also, if you digivolve into Mega Gargo on swing, you unsuspend when you digivolve.
Oh, let's go.
Yep. Also,
How big is he? Mega Gargo?
13, 12 base.
12,
12 base, but
That's pretty big.
a lot of inheritable DP boosts as well.
also Heavy Leomon, which is another green black mega, was a big it was a big thing that made Gacha Green good.
Fortitude is like a keyword that lets you just like come back from the graveyard.
If you have a
Unbelievable.
source,
Dude,
it's Millenniumon.
that's funny.
If you have a source, you get to come back out.
Okay. This is probably. I think I know the answer. Did they ever try to revive Rust Tyrannomon again?
They made an ace for
There
him.
was an ace, but it wasn't very
It's
good.
probably garbage, right?
They've never made it good. They've never.
Yeah,
seen-
Rust
No, I'm
Tyranno
not,
has
I'm
been
not saying they made it good. Did they try to make it good again?
BT11, they printed cards for it, and then they made an ace for it.
Tyrannomon is still, in my opinion, the most printed word in the Digimon card game that's
sucks.
irrelevant.
That's
Like
terrible.
there's one Metal Tyranno that's good, and is that it?
And it's only good because it's in machine.
Missing Machine, yeah.
the
I
only
mean,
time
when digivolving
Tyrannomon's
is not awful.
No, but what deck would you pay for?
GG. GG.
Exactly.
the only time Tyrannomon's ever been good is when you go to like sealed format. You get the beat stick ones.
Well, even then, like now they're making all the Tyrannomons dual color, so they cost that extra.
Oh,
memory.
yeah.
Unless it's on top of the tribe, yeah.
Well, because was it like BT7 or like BT8? Like there was like one Tyrannomon that was like a 2 to digivolve like level 5. It was like, oh, this is the best card.
BT8 Master Tyrannomon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sec +1 and inheritable
Yeah.
Sec +1.
Yeah,
It was-
it's actually crazy to have a
that was
2D
so good.
Digivolve with an inherit.
Well, he was a 4 to digivolve. He was red green.
Yeah.
But he was just so powerful.
Oh, you're talking
on
about
his
him.
own.
I'm thinking about there's a oh,
You're
God.
talking about BT11 when we had the promos.
No, is it a Kuamon, the level 5 that's a 2 to Digivolve and
Oh,
it has
yeah.
an inherit?
Yeah.
That's from BT like 1.
Yeah, it's an early card, but
Yeah.
2 to Digivolve with an inherit to me is wild.
In BT11, I believe it was BT11 where we got the promos like
Yes, we did.
Hexablau and Metal Tyrannomon, and he was a 2 to digivolve, so he was in pre-release and pretty decent. I always play pre-release in a very specific way, which is just Mega Turbo.
Yeah.
I have never found Rookie Rush to be a consistent strategy for
I
me.
think Rookie Rush can and has been good, but like, I mean, the primary thing is that I still think that any limited format is better as draft than it is as sealed. And I generally will advocate for that every time we do an event.
I that's like fair because I definitely remember going to sealed like pre-release stuff and some people just get nothing and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna
Draft is the same though.
I know, but at least there's
That's-
like slightly more balance to draft.
Well, the problem with draft is then you have to start worrying about people drafting just for value. So you might just not open anything, which has its pros and cons because a lot of times like the more powerful cards are just like uncommons, commons, rares.
I know that Magic has they have like competitive draft and they stream it, and there was a big piece of drama at one point because
with
like
Tarmogoyf.
with Tarmogoyf, yeah.
What is that?
It was a card that at its time was extremely expensive because it scaled based on the number of types of cards in your trash.
Oh.
So if you had a creature if either player had a creature in trash, a spell in trash, a planeswalker in trash, an enchantment in trash, it stacked up. So it's like it was a very, very powerful card in the late game that like was very valuable. So he opened a Altart Tarmogoyf that he did not fit in the deck that he was drafting for, but then he just sat there looking at it, and the stream stayed on him, and they're like, is he going to take it just to sell it later, or is he going to like give it away to win the competition?
The other big problem was that there was a card in there. I think it was Lightning Bolt.
Yes.
It was perfect for his deck. It's exactly what he needed. And he took the Tarmogoyf, and then he ended up losing to that Lightning Bolt.
Yes.
Because he passed it on to somebody else, and they had it. They used it against him, and everyone hated on this guy.
Yes.
This guy was actually from like Ottawa, or
was he a Canadian? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's Canadian. And he ended up selling the card, and I think donating the money to charity. But like people were hating on him.
Did he get bullied into donating it to charity?
Probably. I mean,
I don't think so. Like,
if he didn't have drama, would he have donated it? Is the question.
Yeah.
But
I doubt it.
I think it was like a $3,000 to $5,000 card.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm taking the $3,000 to $5,000.
Well,
that's exactly it.
I just
that's
sorry,
safer than
man.
trying to win the event. Like you have to take your money where you can get it. Like the point of winning, there's prestige and there's the winnings. And if you can just say, hey, this will let me afford to go to another event and play again, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, well, I can try and win the whole thing and then maybe not.
Well, if you pull the card worth $3,000 to $5,000, you've essentially done at least half of what you came to do already.
Which is the winnings. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you're just like, okay, so now my next job is to still try to win.
I think the Magic community, I've seen a lot of examples of them just being disgusting for
I mean, it's just a large mass of people. I think it's like hard to control.
It's also realistically, it's like an older fan base. Too.
Boomers.
I'm not gonna go it's just like a little harsher. Like I think generally speaking, like
yeah, I feel like we sometimes are unjustly unfair to Digimon players for being weird. You guys, Magic players are so weird. I actually feel so sketched out going to Magic tournaments.
I think all card game players are weird.
I was gonna kind of say I think there's like a certain demographic that is like wanting to play a card game, and like it's just sometimes the weirdos are in there.
Sometimes just a couple little scamps.
Yeah,
but there are those people like I take Digimon pretty seriously, but not to the point where I'm like, let's ruin this guy's life because he took a card that's worth money as opposed to trying to win.
Yeah.
Like if somebody money drafts or like value drafts, like that's their prerogative. I'm not gonna be like they're a bad person.
Also, it's legal. Like it's part of the format. Like you're allowed to do it.
But I do think that it makes drafting a worse experience.
Okay, can we
100%.
all remember that I think you were part of this, one of the first drafts that we did together in Digimon was in BT9, or maybe it was in BT10 and we were just drafting BT9, and I opened an Altart Death X in my first pack. And I looked at it and I said, thank God this is a good card because nobody can call me out for it, but I'm just going to take it right away. I took the Altart Death X. And at the time, it was like a $90 card. And I'm like, is there ever a situation where we would be in that dynamic that I would not choose to take it? Like,
yeah.
I don't think there ever could be.
Part of the reason I didn't like drafts is I would almost never.
He thinks that he was giving me his good cards.
No, almost never did I get 0 super rares. It happens on occasion in sealed. But in draft, I was just consistently... Oh, and almost, I think in every draft we've played, never got handed a super rare or opened a super rare. It was just like, I get no value out of these packs. I would prefer to just open a pack and make it with what you have, as opposed to try and get pass cards and grab them along the way. In my opinion, I just find that, I know it adds some...
decision making and it's a more skill-based system, but that might not necessarily be what you're looking for.
Yeah, because...
Well, and part of it is the cost is like, I'm getting these cards too. It's like, it feels bad when like you didn't get any of the monetary value of it. You only got the strategic value of like the format.
Yeah.
But like sealed, even though it can happen in sealed, like it's just...
Yeah.
It feels so minimally more skill-based that it just doesn't even feel worth it.
I don't agree, but...
Because like, they're both testing your deck building abilities, but one's also testing how well you can get cards in front of you.
No, it's largely like how much you can tell, like based on the number of people you're drafting with, what is being taken, and assessing like, okay, so these are the threats that I'm going to be facing in this tournament.
But that's only if you've seen the cards pass you already.
Yeah, but I think that like
you never actually see the powerful threats right away unless you open them.
No, you don't feel the powerful threats, but you can like say like, okay, well they are building. If you're seeing all of the green cards being eaten up before they get to you, it's like, okay, so insects are running around. Probably 1 or 2 people are running insects as this.
But I don't even think that's a consistent enough way to view that, because you're not going to open that many powerful insect cards in a draft.
You just have to assume that based on the colors you're seeing and what your knowledge of the set is, there definitely is skill expression in drafting.
I'm not
It's
saying
a
there's
mini
none.
game.
I'm just saying it's so much less, it's so minimal compared to sealed that it's like maybe it's like 1 to 2% more skill expression, I think.
I'll be honest, I wholly disagree. I think there's a lot of decisions. I think that like people can draft to choke people out of options. Like I think there's a lot of skill expression.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Is like, for me, where's my skill expression in that?
Where's your skill expression?
Yeah.
Because you're making value choices of like, do I want to play for my own power level? Do I want to play for denying?
Yeah, but where's my skill expression with you choking me out of it? I never. The card never even gets to me.
It's an interactive mechanic. My decision influences your ability to make decisions.
Yeah, but he's saying if he's always the one not able to make good decisions, like how is that?
Not that I'm not able to make good decisions,
okay,
but
you're not able to make as good decisions.
Like I never end up seeing the good cards to begin with.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm only controlling one of the directions that are going towards you, and I have to assess what I think you're taking based on what gets to me, what gets in front of me.
Yeah, but that's like
so. What I'm saying is, if I get a sealed 6-packs and all of them are duds, that sucks. If I get into draft and the 6-packs that I opened were all duds, and by the time all the packs got to me, they also became all duds, it's basically the same thing.
I think that when you're in that situation and you're saying like, I am opening duds, then you have to start course correcting around like saying like, okay, what is the best common deck that I can build out of? Because like
what I'm saying is that's the same thing in sealed.
Yeah, but you can choose you can choose to switch to focusing around I mean, you also have to remember that like in Digimon we have like limited formats have colors unrestricted. In Magic, historically, colors are restricted in limited formats.
That's kind of what I'm
saying. Which I think is what Digimon should do, to be honest.
Because when you were describing like, oh, maybe somebody's grabbing all the green cards, I'm like, that doesn't matter. That doesn't really tell you anything because we've got unrestricted colors.
Yeah, but
so it's basically sealed.
Now that we have more dual colors, I generally am in favor of re-restricting colors in drafts.
You still can't restrict them because you're not just hard playing cards like in Magic.
Yeah, I know. You do still build up.
You can't build up the same way if you're restricting colors.
I guess I can accept where you're coming from. I'm definitely talking about this more from the perspective of I spent a long time playing Magic drafts, and you're right, they are different games.
I do think you have more of an opportunity to build a specific deck in draft than you do in sealed, which is kind of cool. But I also think that almost always the better strategy for draft is just
take the good cards. Yeah,
the exact same strategy for sealed. It's just get the best cards that are generically good.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, almost the most interesting decisions that can happen are when you go, oh, somebody's eaten these babies, and like now I'm like I because of my earlier decision making, I am forced to now be like I have to take a baby over like a value choice, and that can happen for any level, but baby is the most obvious.
Yeah. No, I will play either because again, like I'm saying, they feel so similar to me. There's almost no difference. The only thing with draft is you've now added this time period where you're having to pass. You're adding like another hour.
That's true. The draft minigame is, I think it's very cool, but it is time consuming. It's like it's eating into your night.
But like I said, I think they're just so similar that I don't really care which one we do. They end up being basically the same end result for me.
Yeah.
Except maybe I'm a little bit salty because all the good cards got taken.
Because I opened Death X.
To be aware that you had the chance to get those cards in draft than it is to just be like, oh, I got 6 dud packs. Like, whereas it's like, oh, if I had been opening this pack like one person in the rotation sooner, like I would have a sick card, but instead I'm gonna pick between like 8 cards in the pack, basically.
But that being said, I do love both those formats immensely. Sealed and draft are basically Pauper. Because you just rely so heavily on your common and uncommon cards. Fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's also like a large part of it is that you're essentially just getting a justified reason to play Pauper, and with like some addendums, and that's sick. I think that's really cool.
Pauper is also just fun because like You get to see things that you're definitely.
Sometimes you just want to be able to play around with these like cool cards, these cool ideas
that aren't at the same power level.
Yeah, the issue is I think that like the power of Pauper has also gone through its own creep, pretty significantly. Like I don't.
That's fine though.
It is fine, but like
it also makes sense.
Pauper today and Pauper a year ago are very different formats.
Yeah, but I don't think there's a problem with that. I think the main appeal of Pauper is like you're poor. You're not.
Damn.
You're not spending a lot of money.
Yeah,
you're bald. You're poor. You're short.
You don't have to buy Magnamon X and Rapidmon X.
Yeah,
like that to me, that's the main appeal of Pauper. Or you don't have to spend $6 on the Ukomons.
Yeah, I mean, it would crush Digimon as a card game for financial reasons. But if you told me tomorrow, like, oh, Pauper is like the most popular format in Digimon. That is what like all the big tournaments are hosting. That's what you should start building and thinking about. I'd be like, that's great. Spend $5 on a deck.
Pauper is very fun, but a lot of rares and super rares have really cool effects that I feel like I would miss out on.
I for the most part
Pauper
agree.
Doesn't include rare.
Yeah,
I feel like it should include rare in Digimon.
For Digimon, it really should because most rares are pretty cheap. But we've had some expensive rares.
Yeah. All of a sudden, we got 8 Ukomons in Pauper.
no, just 4.
Oh, that's true. Promos, yeah.
Yeah, promos would be gone. But
yeah, I guess it's fair. I don't know. It's just having like open Digimon packs and just being like, oh, I can't use like Ogremon because he's a rare. It's like whatever. Like
the real issue is that there's so many commons and uncommons that are like, this is a support card to get you to your SR. Yeah. And it's like that means they just don't exist.
They're built to reward you for packing the one SR.
Yeah.
But without making it hard to get the rest of the package. But so you're just like, okay, what uncommon level, top level can like synergize with this package?
It does change a lot, which is what makes it fun. I do think that Pauper just tends to be more generically focused.
Yes, I think as a whole, like
it's a fundamentals like thing.
It's
like,
very fundamentals. I think like if you have the right level 6, it's like you don't need like the right line of cards below it. It's like no, that level 6 is just good.
That being said, Pauper would feel extremely slow, even with the better cards we have. Because all search is relegated to like tribal mechanics and we have no trainings or boosts, the game would just be slowed down so much. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I
don't know if this would still happen, but I know Brick City was experiencing Pauper when they were focusing on it was becoming very security control focused.
Security control and Aosmon.
Yeah, Aosmon surprisingly good.
Gosh.
It was so funny. I was watching.
I forgot Aosmon is uncommon.
I was watching the finals in that tournament.
That was very fun.
And Setcon flips over like yellow babies, obviously, because you want to be having yellow babies, but is running Gatekeeper. Does not realize that it doesn't get the recovery unless you have a mother in play. So just running a dead card. I mean, I guess it still plays out of security.
But it's still like, yeah, it's just like, I mean, I think that's the thing with a limited format. They sometimes make some bad calls.
Well, it's just classic TCG player not reading the full card. Yeah, I lost a. I mean, it didn't really matter. I was playing Imperial Dramon just for like fun to try it out. It was my first time playing the deck. I didn't realize that the promo Vmon said if you have a Tamer in play, reduce the cost by 1. So I started making this play, and someone was like, "Oh, it doesn't reduce." I was like, "Oh, I've lost the game. This has lost me the game, right? This one memory."
Yeah.
Because my entire play was based around this, and I shouldn't have raised up otherwise. But yeah, it's just a common TCG player thing. It's like skim the card, you see the parts that are important, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this.
I mean, what I was trying to say earlier was that I went to the Evo Cup and I came second, and I had a really good time. But when I got to the tournament, I thought that it was going to be a regular local. So I brought a new deck. I brought Numemon for the first time. I had never played Numemon. I had thought about it a little bit, and I was like, okay, I'll try it out here at this local and have a good time. I also did not have my RBO1 Numemons. I was running the Armor Purge Numemon.
Monzemons?
Monzemon, thank you. And then I got there and they said, oh, it's Evo Cup. I said, no problem. And like every time I was like taking my turn, I had to be like, okay, hold on, let me read Azulong Ace. What I unsuspend? Well, that's crazy. I have blocker. All right, great. I'll unsuspend and I'll block. Like,
yep. No, it's Numemon is such a fun deck.
He is cool. I think that Numemon is really cool. I think it was a great experience to learn the deck because like people were playing real decks. I faced so much fucking Magnamon X, and then also Tyrant Kabuterimon, which was very scary. Once that deck gets set up, it's the same problem as when Magnamon X gets set up.
But they can't like eliminate your board that well.
They can suspend and swing over. and they can bottom deck, and those are like the combination of those two is very scary.
That's fair, but I just think that like you should have already have developed a decent sized board by the time they get to Tyrant, and then you just like DP reduce them.
Yeah, I mean the issue is that like I swept game 1 in against him very quickly. Game 2, he got a Tyrant and a Shiva, like, and then I was like, well, Shiva didn't really matter, but like he got a Tyrant out early enough that I was like, so I can't really get anything on the board because anything I get on the board will be on your turn bottom decked. So I have to get multiple things on the board in order to even start doing anything. And that sucked.
Well, that's kind of where Mirage excelled against Numemon too. Is like if they can't just like stick anything to board, they're not going to win. You're just like every time you put down a Monzimon, you're like, okay, bounce it. You put down another Monzimon, bounce it. They put down a Numemon and a Monzimon, bounce 1 or 2. Like,
and it's hard. Like it's hard to like get around that.
And that's like kind of the problem with a non-stack based deck. But I think that's good. Like these decks need to have weaknesses, right?
Yeah. I ended up winning the last game because I had a stack with a Nume X, and then the top it was a Platinum Numemon, and he swung into it and had a Pomumon on field to prevent me from playing things out, and I just was able to blast into Azulong and bounce the Pomumon.
Oh, blast onto something
blast
else.
Onto not onto the Platinum. I was able to blast an Azulong Ace onto a different level 5 that was on field.
Yep.
And be like, get rid of that Pomumon, and then the Pinata is gonna just explode.
Yeah, and play out a couple things. Yeah. Pomumon is such an interesting choice because it shuts down Tyrant and Kabuterimon.
Yeah, it's interesting. He had to like end his turn essentially by playing the Pomu, and then swing in.
Yeah. I think we're gonna call it there.
Oh yeah, sure.
Episode.
Okay, well,
I can't see from here what the time's at.
no, it's no worries at all. For what it's worth, Eric, I'll use it again. My favorite word, our progenitor. Thank you for thank you for being in your house. This is the first mobile recording we're doing.
Eric, come and play Digimon again, and come on the podcast more.
The podcast, I think, is more negotiable
for
me than playing right now.
You want to buy a $1,000 Magnum X deck?
Oh my gosh.
Well, here's the thing: between me, you, Mark, and Bishoy,
I
bore whatever you want.
I just be playing whatever the black deck is. That's like that's what I'm going to be doing.
That's fair.
I play again. So
It's a good time to be saying that.
I know, but between the D Brigade and the new ones, like it's a pretty good time for me.
There's some other cool like black decks, like Dorgoromon is Collision, which.
Well, just before we go, I was gonna say, do we want to check for messages?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we have some loyal listeners. We have some
fan mail.
We have some fan mail that we tend to check out.
Shout out to the fans.
Shout out to one fan in particular. Shout out to fucking Aran Maudante, our big true believer, who's the only one who comments on our YouTube page.
Mr. Al Dente himself.
Mr. Al Dente. It means on the teeth. Okay, Aran. All right. We were talking about Let's Go Brandon.
Okay.
He's like, the reporter was at a race event and the crowd was chanting "Fuck Joe Biden." When the studio asked what the people were chanting, she lied and said "Let's go Brandon."
Yeah.
Which is so funny. I mean, like, there's no world that's not fucking hilarious. It's so fucking funny. And then the last thing Aaron was saying was just that playing casually is in part to avoid bad judges and bad players, which is something that we had a long chat. Oh, Noah's looking stoically in the distance now that I'm mentioning it.
As I look out the window, contemplating judges. No, I was just thinking about how funny it is to say I play casual to avoid bad players. I get that he means like bad people.
Like cheaters, yeah.
Instead of just saying like bad players, because that's where you get the most bad players casually.
All right. Well, thanks as always, Aaron, for being a true believer.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for commenting. We love to hear back from our listeners.
Yeah.
We're going to have to force our friends that listen to comment more so we can hear their...
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the funny thing is that I talk with people just in person and they give me their opinions.
Well, that's the problem, is that they say it to us in person and then we don't have it to read out on the podcast.
Well...
So start getting them to give you sticky notes.
You're going to have to start like going to locals with a little like mic. And just
you want me to live recording?
Yeah,
would you like to say anything for our podcast? All right.
Well, reader questions.
Well, thank you for listening, everyone. We're gonna be back from our perspective in 2 weeks with a new recording, and Noah will give us his updates on how wedding prep has been absorbing his whole life, and maybe he'll let me talk a little bit more about Castlevania.
Yeah, I had work stories to tell, and I completely We were just talking.
Oh, this is what happened. It's 'cause I don't see Eric that much anymore, so I was just catching up.
That'll be next time, I guess. But it was fresh today because people got fired. I feel like it's my fault, and I thought it was gonna be dramatic to tell on the podcast.
Wow, okay.
It'll have to be a little teaser
That's a
trailer for next
spoiler.
time.
Yeah, I'll
Spoiler
get
for
some
next
life
time.
stories next time. I'm actually really excited about that.
All right, take care, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Errata Sonata. Oh wait, guys, we're a mess. We haven't done this in too long. You want to list all our socials, Ian?
Yeah, okay. Well, we were just reading off of our YouTube comments, which we're always happy to get, and you'll see Aran Mao Dante posting on there week after week. But you can also follow us on Twitter at Errata Sonata, or email us at erratasonata@gmail.com. If you want to hang out with us, we do
Errata
hang out.
Sonata podcast.
Errata Sonata podcast at gmail.com. You're right, it has been a moment. As well, you can catch us. Noah is hanging out significantly in the Hamilton Discord, while you can find me in Brick City, as I am attending a lot of the Untouchables locals.
And you're able to find our podcast, obviously, if you found it on whatever platform you're listening to it now, but no longer on Google Podcasts.
No, I'm so sad about it because that is my main podcast app. So no longer on Google, but we are getting iTunes. We're going to be getting Spotify still coming through, and YouTube podcast I think is taking over Google. So
That makes sense.
YouTube, you can go join Aran over there.
And then don't find me anywhere.
Oh yeah, by the way, no, Eric's disappearing from the world again.
That's right. I don't
if
exist.
anybody's interested, they're welcome to come out to Sunset Project M and HDR tournament in
Hell
Etobicoke,
yeah.
Ontario, and you can find me and Eric playing there. Because
All
I'm just saying, I'm bringing back out the Simon, and I think I'm gonna take it. I think I'm gonna mad cook at Sunset.
All right, now I have to figure out how to practice Bowser Jr. So,
Oh God.
all right,
Thank you for listening to the Errata Sonata podcast.
All right, bye everyone.
bye bye.